You know, we kind of go through this where we are. So we get a lot of reports of shootings,
Right.
and the scanner's on all the time. You know, those early reports, you know, what people are reporting in could turn out to be absolutely nothing. They could turn
Right.
out to be wrong.
Yep, training practice.
Well, or
somebody thinks
you
they see
know,
something,
like
or,
for recent example was there was a scanner coming in that there was a gunfight. You know, two people running down the street shooting at each other, which turned out to be incorrect. But so we jumped on that initial thing, and it had to do with this high school student, and you know who ended up being
Right.
killed. But the circumstances were a little bit different. So I guess I'm just wondering how do you sort of vet
Decide?
the scanners? How do you do something really big involving a school,
Well,
involving a
that's a good question, because we've struggled with that a lot in our newsroom. A lot of our reporters who've been around for a long time are very resistant to scanner traffic, ever putting it out on the site. And I think I used to be more resistant to scanner traffic than I am now. But the nature of the web and our web readership is that people see that too. So we can use a tweet, for example, to say this is what was reported on the scanner traffic, follow up and say it turned into nothing. And that still constant dialogue is still there. Because if you were in downtown Reno and saw the cops converge, even though it turned out to be nothing, you still wondered what happened. And so you still build that readership that way, that back and forth. And that's the approach we've taken right now, and it's been pretty successful for us. Our newspaper, I know you guys had Berlin already, didn't you? Our web audience is actually pretty amazing in terms of Gannett and in terms of the country. I mean, our web-only audience is the 7th largest in the country for our paper side, which is pretty unusual, really. And most of that's driven by news, flat out. And it is that kind of stuff, because even if you were, say you're going to pay your traffic ticket and some, you know, all the cops converge across the street because they thought there was a shooting, everybody still saw that. So they walk away from it either thinking, A, you didn't cover it, or B, you know, what was it kind of thing. They still have questions in their head. So we've tried to make a concerted effort to come back and double up with telling people it was nothing or whatever it came to be. Anything that seems like it's a big enough story, and I mean, that's where your news judgment comes in for what's big in your community kind of thing. The news judgment part of it, if it's something we've deemed as big enough, we started rolling blog with updates on our website. So when you get to the blog and web update side, because all of our reporters don't have individual blogs, we treat our web updates like an ongoing rolling blog, so that a reader could go onto that thing, see the latest headline, and go back to the initial story, which was this initial report, and be able to sort through it all his or her, you know, by themselves. So that's been successful, and that's where we're at right now. But to be very honest, that's an evolution, and I'm not quite sure where that balance is going to be eventually. But as soon as somebody else tweets it, I mean, that's the part about the social media. If somebody was there and they saw it and they tweeted it like, wow, look, 500 cops across the street, the river, all of a sudden that becomes part of the consciousness and the conversation of what's the news dialogue for the day. That's been our philosophy. Now, would that show up in print? Probably not.